It was because of farmers that gold was discovered in the Pahranagat Valley in 1890. The Ferguson Mining District was formed. But in 1893, a man by the name of John Delamar from Montana purchased the principal claims for $150,000. And by the end of 1895, the camp had become a town containing over 3,000 residents. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. We are visiting Delamar Ghost Town, the maker of widows. And we have turned off Highway 93, approximately 16 miles west of Caliente, Nevada, and drove about 15 miles south on one of the roughest roads I think I've been on in a while to get to Delamar Ghost Town. Now, one of the reasons this town grew so fast is because in 1890, when Ferguson discovered the gold, it didn't take long for word to reach Pioche, Nevada, where the assaying was done between $75 and $1,000 per ton of ore, and this resulted in a rush of miners heading to this district. And most of the buildings in Delamar were built with native stone right here from the area. And in 1897, Delamar contained almost 3,000 residents, supporting numerous stores, saloons, theaters, and a variety of professional businesses. Now, all of this was supported due to the operation at the Delamar Mill, processing up to 260 tons of ore per day, and among the richest in the state. But Delamar had its problems. Water was a big one, and the water was pumped into the camp from a well at Meadow Valley Wash, over the mountains about 14 miles away. But it wasn't enough. Numerous other mining camps in Nevada had adequate water supply, but not in Delamar. The gold-bearing quartzite was very hard, and it was being processed at the stamp mill. It produced what some describe as having the appearance of what today would be called smog. All right, so we're going to make our way through here, through a couple rocks. Make sure there wasn't any critters crawling. Take a look at what's going on. Here we are. Take a look at that. Giant timber out in the middle of nowhere. Miles to get this in here, and then back-breaking work to put it all together. But that wasn't just smog that plagued Delamar. That was crystalline silica, and that was minute particles of silica dust. And it's the main component in sand and rocks, limestone and granite. And when inhaled, it became a deadly problem, known as silicosis. It caused weakness and pneumonia and tuberculosis-like problems. But it was much worse and misdiagnosed. And due to the lack of water to keep the dust down, or the wearing of proper masks, miners, workers, and townspeople alike were subject to breathing in the crystalline silica, and the people did not know what was happening. Now, many of these miners traveled from St. George, Utah, to make their wealth, but many miners came and brought their families and young wives. Even within a year of arriving, the husbands had died from silicosis, without he or his wife knowing what the real cause of death was. The dust was soon given the name Delamar dust, and this created a nickname for Delamar as the Widowmaker. Now, it is noted that between 400 and 500 widows lived here in Delamar due to the Delamar dust. And the cemetery had grown measurably at Delamar, and it had established the reputation known all over the world as the Widowmaker. Now in 1902, the problem was fixed as the new owners realized that they needed to bring in more water to keep the dust down. But even after the problem was fixed during the turn of the century, the gold production slowed. By 1910, the mill closed and many of the people moved to the new boom towns of Tonopah and Goldfield, 200 miles west. You can take a look at the sheer size of this wall. This is 20 plus feet to the top. Now, over 15 million worth of gold came out of Delamar between 1892 and 1909. But in 1929, the Great Depression came along and production slowed again. And by 1934, the town was abandoned. Now, if you ever want to look at a car with bullet holes in it, what's left of one, that's it. So water, again, in the desert is extremely valuable, and they had to have water tokens to be able to get water to survive. Now you can see that there's still some of the cement work or finished walls. But unfortunately, the boom times have to end. And this town sits in disrepair, with literally the shadows of what is left. And all of these foundations and rubble that we see on the ground were once occupied by all the residents and miners in this community, and who knows, maybe they still are. Delamar was built on the thirst for gold and the lack of water, and that lack of water created dust from the same stone that the homes were built of. And now many of its residents lay in the Delamar Cemetery. We hope you enjoyed this trip to Delamar Ghost Town, and until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one.